This is live health skill podcast. We are leveling up your health skill. And today we have a wonderful guest here. He's a personal trainer. He's doing a lot of calisthenics. So calisthenics is body weight training. He's from England. He's super persistent and puts in a lot of work to his Twitch and his YouTube channel.
Not so much on the YouTube anymore.
Okay.
But soon, when I've got time, I'll get around to it again.
Okay. Welcome in the right corner, Primitive Rage. Great. How are you doing? How is your day going?
I'm really good, man. It's been a nice Saturday. I mean, the weather's been decent. That'll be my main problem most days is the weather because I can't be outside.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I like doing pull-ups and muscle-ups. So
Yeah, I saw them.
available. I'm a sad boy, but today was fine.
Okay.
Today was a good weather, a good day. Yeah. I've been semi-productive, so, and here we are now. So yes, it improves.
Okay. Are you stressed out, you guys, in the chat? Well, listen in today's podcast to learn more about setting realistic goals and maybe be a little bit less stressed. Can you tell us a little bit more about your fitness journey, Connor?
Yeah, sure thing. So I started training, I don't know, well, when I was about 15 years old, I had a pull-up bar installed in my door frame. And I started just doing chin-ups, every time I walk past it, or trying to do chin-ups, because at first, they're very hard to do, right? So you struggle with that. You do one, then you do two, then you do three, then you just keep building. I didn't really have any kind of a regimented routine in place. It was just kind of, like I say, I walked past the door frame, felt like doing some pull-ups or chin-ups, just try a few, And then I started taking it a lot more seriously when I went to university at the age of 18, where I had all the free time in the world, well, minus, when I had to do assignments, which I would normally leave till the last minute and then rush them in. But for the most part, I was mainly in the gym, to be honest, when I was at university. It was where I really started my journey properly. And I'd always be kind of the one that I was going to the gym while everybody was coming back from nights out drinking and stuff like that. Because I wasn't a very sociable person when I was younger. I kind of just kept to myself, just did my own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I then had control of my time and my diet, which was the biggest thing, I really started to make leaps and bounds in my journey. So yeah, then I had all the motivation in the world. I was there, first thing in the morning, even going twice a day at times, because it was something I finally had control over, some aspects of my life, coming away from my parents and that kind of environment. So that was where it really started for me.
Yeah.
It was mainly the standard kind of bodybuilding routines I was starting out with. I was always on bodybuilding.com as it would happen, which was where I got the majority of my beginner routines, right? And that's when I'd pick up like a 4-week or a 12-week plan. So it's like 3 periods there, like 4 week, 4 week, 4 week, makes 12 total. Advancing as you go through the periods in difficulty and intensity, volume as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really. There were certain exercises from those routines that I was like, yeah, these are really good. I like these. They do a lot for me. And then other ones where I wouldn't really, get much out of. So after about 3 years of trying out different routines from bodybuilding.com, which was, it's a good resource to begin with, but back in like 2011, 2012, it was. I mean, I think there was too much information and there was not enough people to call out the bullshit that they saw,
Yeah.
So it was a lot of kind of digging through different plans, trying to figure things out. And then eventually I got into the habit of picking and choosing my favorite exercises from each routine that I would give a go. And then, yeah, eventually I just kind of pieced my own workouts together and started programming my own stuff from there.
Cool.
But that's just the start. I've been training for almost 9 years at this point, so I've been through a few different modalities of training. I've tried. I've not really tried powerlifting, if I'm being honest with you, because I don't really see the benefit of going for a a 1 rep max like every other week, really. For me personally, that's not how I like to train because I don't really I don't know. I've always been very very cautious around injuries,
Hmm.
and I remember one time when I was about it was about my 4th year of training when I was starting to get into the heavy lifting stuff. I was trying to put my squats up, my deadlifts, and I attempted a deadlift. I think it was 140 kilograms, and my form was not good, and I pulled my back out, and I was laying in bed for like a week.
Oh
And
god.
like I tried the lift, then I felt something ping, and then my head just started going like just ringing. I was like, I'm gonna pass out. So I tend to I tend to stay away from the heavy list because the risk to reward ratio for me that personally is not really there.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to keep myself intact.
I
Um,
see. I see that. Yeah.
is there anything you want to
Yeah,
ask at
yeah.
this point? I've
Definitely.
covered a few
Uh,
years here already.
why are you training in the first place? So is it like you want to keep healthy, or what's like your really goal, or you want to be really this muscular guy that people are looking up to, or is it kind of like buff, or I'm just saying something. Yeah.
I had a few different motivations for wanting to get in shape. I mean, I always wanted to feel capable was probably the first thing. I wanted to feel like I could actually go through my life in a decent manner, not being scared of things, making sure I was capable. I think the first time I really considered putting on some size was when I went down to the local shop when I was at university, and I tried carrying back like uh, I don't know, like 50 cans of Diet Coke or something because they were on sale. And I was like, this is a real struggle. I got to get stronger. So just something as menial as that was a little trigger for me to try and get stronger. And then I've always drawn a lot of inspiration from video games, anime, films, especially TV series, books. I was speaking about this on stream yesterday. Actually, when I was first started training,
Hmm.
one of my main influences was Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series, and I
Yeah.
kind of tried to like base everything in my life around like Witcher training. As weird as that sounds, I would try and put it into a modern perspective. And I
Hmm.
have loads of alchemy books and sword fighting books and all that just from that period where I was like, if there's even anything I can pick up from that, then it will be a real benefit to me. And the alchemy books, as strange as it sounds, have a lot of good stuff in them because it's mainly about um, transmutation of like lower matter into higher matter through intention and and direction. Basically, it's trying to bring good out of the bad effectively because there's no one was making gold out of anything,
Hmm.
but through the process of you going into these really intricate processes of um, looking at solar cycles and different aspects of elements and things like that and trying to make everything like a perfect system to create what you'd call like the philosopher's stone, which was kind of like the amalgamation of all the mental and invisible aspects around you, all the spirits, basically, like an amalgamation of that to put that into a solid form, which is obviously not a real thing, People, because that's when they started making alcohol and all that stuff, because it was where they would get the spirit
Hmm.
from the plant itself, and that's what they would ingest. That's what they would do. They make all these tinctures and stuff like that, to try and bring the spirit of the natural world into themselves, and then through that process of making those tinctures and stuff like that, they would have gone through a personal transformation in trying to apply themselves to making that
It's super
that outcome.
interesting. Yeah, super interesting. Um, let's go a step further. And how did realistic goal setting help you? As we're talking about goals and realistic goal setting, how did realistic goal setting help you so far on your journey?
Well, in a recent idea of this actually, when I was last month, I told myself by the end of the month I'm going to achieve a one-arm pull-up or one-arm chin-up, so
Yeah,
a Superman grip.
yeah.
Um, but I didn't reach it. I didn't
Mhm.
reach it, but I'm not really bothered because I really did try and adjust my programming to that goal. So my pulling strength, as a result of even attempting to reach that move, has improved massively. especially my scapular control as well, because that's one thing I've always kind of been lacking. I would do normal pull-ups, but I wouldn't include the dead hang portion, you know, because you need to do that initial pull with your scapula first of all to initiate the pull. So elements like that I wasn't really implementing into my programming. You really have to take a second look or a third look, a fourth look, just to really make sure you're including all the things you need to do. Because with bodyweight stuff, especially, it's very difficult. There's a lot of different variables that go into it. Core strength for one of them. You know, if you want to achieve a good front lever or any of the lever exercises, you need good core strength. And coming from a mainly a bodybuilding discipline, I was lacking that severely. So when I first saw somebody do a front lever, like is the one where you hold yourself like horizontally on the bar.
Yeah.
I would normally have a button or something to press,
Yep.
but but yeah, I set that as my goal because I was thinking if I can achieve that position, I can hold myself horizontally in the air, I will have abs. There is no way around it.
Yeah.
So it was just just piecing all those little things together that you've been missing from other disciplines, you know, because the bodyweight stuff is like everything works in tandem. Everything is pretty much a compound movement. So everything has to be in check.
Yeah.
You can't have any weak links in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, that's broken down into different progressions of the skill, right? You're not gonna. There's been times before. I don't know what happened. I've told a story on stream. I don't know what happened, but I was attempting a pseudo planche press up, right, which is where you're like, you know, the planche where it's basically the front lever but the opposite way round. So you're like doing a push up but you're floating, right?
Yep.
And an earlier progression of that is that you have your legs like tucked in, and then you just kind of do press ups like this, pretty much like horizontally. And I didn't have the strength to do it. And then I ended up, I don't know what happened to my sternum, but I felt like a big pop. And then every pushing movement I did from that moment on was extremely painful. There was a lot of pressure there. I'd always feel it like clicking and cracking. And eventually I went to the doctors for it, and I got an X-ray for it, and then they lost the X-ray. So there was I have no idea what happened there. But yeah, that's a good example of trying to push yourself. You set a goal that's way out of your reach, right?
Yeah.
I know I can do that movement, but because I was going through a tough time in my life, and I felt like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I can do it. I can definitely do it. And I ended up setting myself further back and put myself even deeper in a hole mentally.
Oh wow.
Because I tried to, do something that was out of my reach, basically.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So it's very important to choose something that's actually achievable, or to go about it I mean, sure, set the craziest goal you want, but don't expect yourself to get there in a month. You know, you have to do it in periods. You have to make sure that you can achieve a certain baseline of strength, or a move, or a skill progression before you move on to the more advanced ones. You know.
Yeah. So
you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, you mentioned so many great concepts already, like in this little talk that you gave, like. So you mentioned like dividing and conquer, like really splitting up the tasks and working towards it. And you also said like you weren't like sad or anything like when you didn't reach the goal, because you were working towards it, right? And you kind of honored that that you aren't there yet, but you're on your way towards that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you also said like what was going wrong, right? Like as you didn't honor like the goal too much, like, oh yeah, it takes some time to get there. You want to prove yourself. I can do this. I can push myself even harder. You kind of like fell back even more. That's right,
Yeah.
right?
A good thing, another story about that, the one-arm chin-ups challenge I set for myself was when I saw, there's a guy called Fitness FAQs on YouTube who does a lot of calisthenics content, very informational, amazing teacher. And he put a video up around how to achieve your first one-arm chin-up, right? And I commented on that video because I was also trying to get the YouTube channel going at the time. So I was like, trying to comment where I could just to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going for this for the end of next month, basically. When he put the video up, it was the end of next month, which would have been the start of this month, right? And somebody commented on there and said to me, oh, I've seen so many people say this, but they never achieve it. You're not going to do it. I don't believe you'll do it. And I messaged back to him saying, like, just watch. I'm gonna upload it when I do it. So just watch. If I do it, then I'll show you. And then I know I didn't do it. And then he messaged me. I saw a comment say, I saw a pop up saying, he replied to your comment again. And he said, so did you do it? And I was like, no. And that's fine. I have no issues saying that I didn't do it because, well, I'd only be lying. I'd be lying to myself, right? If I said, oh yeah, no, I did it. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
But again, it's taking the ego out of that to say, it's fine. You know, I set a goal. I didn't achieve the goal,
Mhm.
and that's not really a problem because it's all about my journey in the long run, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, I could have really attempted it, and then could have torn my bicep
Yeah.
or pulled my shoulder out or something. It could have been
Yeah.
really, really bad just because I was really trying to satisfy my ego and reach that goal just to prove somebody wrong. You know,
Yeah.
it's one thing trying to prove something to yourself, but if somebody else then sets a challenge for you, you normally go a bit harder, right? And it's always harder if you fail when somebody else has an expectation for you. But that's the thing. I
Definitely.
think the only way to really get over that is to fail so many times that you don't really care anymore because it's all progress in the long run, right? I don't have anything to prove. I'll get there when I get there. You know,
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
can set that goal next month if I really want to.
Yeah.
But there was a lot going on in my life, or not really a lot going on in my life. Mainly me trying to get my stream to the point that I wanted it at because there were so many technical things that were just going wrong, then something else and something else. But now I've got it to the point where I feel like I can just sling everything out the window, get it all wired in, and it's good to go now.
Yeah.
I have more space in my brain to actually start thinking about my next goals and how I'm going to apply myself to my training in the future,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited about because now I've got this baseline here set up, this groundwork done. We can build from that. So
Great, great. That sounds amazing. I'm so excited to see you kind of like grow and wherever you go. It's amazing to watch you and your stream. There's so many things going on
thank you,
there.
thank you.
Um, let's clear up some maybe understanding right now. I like to ask you, can you explain the difference between a vision and a goal?
Well, I think a vision and a goal. The difference is having a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a vision, you can just go, oh yes, I'll visualize, I'll achieve this, and then you can dream about all you want. But if you're not actually putting actionable steps in place to achieve that, then yes, it's just a vision, right? Or a wish. You could call it a wish even.
Definitely, yeah.
But a goal, yeah, a goal itself is something you are actively pursuing. You are actively trying to figure out ways to achieve it.
Good. I just wanted to clear that up also for the listeners, for the viewers. Let's go on a little bit. What happens if you don't have any goals set whatsoever?
Well, I think it all depends on what kind of person you are because I myself, I wouldn't really say there's been periods in my life where I've not really had any specific ambition in mind or anything I really want to achieve, but that doesn't stop me from laying a groundwork of good habits and trying to improve myself overall, right? I feel like as long as you're seeing progress and you're trying harder than you did the last time you attempted something, or you're constant because it's the thing with the trouble with bodyweight training is that you don't really have too many variables you can track, right? With a standard weightlifting program, you're like, okay, I'll just add 5 pounds on this week and then
Mhm.
10 pounds on. It's quite easy to see that progression, but with the bodyweight stuff, it can be quite. I think the difficult thing is when you can make an exercise more difficult by making your form better, even because there's been times where I said to myself, oh, I can do 20 pull-ups, but if I try to do 20 dead hang pull-ups, which would be much better for me, I wouldn't get 20. I'd maybe get like 14 or even 12. But that number of 20 is just for my ego, right? My body doesn't care.
Yeah.
My body doesn't really doesn't care. As long as I'm going through the correct range of motion, I'm doing it, properly and consciously. I don't really have any issues, as long as you're constantly trying to improve and you're actually building on good habits day by day. I think some people need goals and some people can kind of just do what I do, which is just kind of just drift along and just try and do your best each time. But
Mhm.
it can definitely make things a bit squirrely, when you kind of you don't have anything to track on, you don't have
Mhm.
anything to keep track of, or you can kind of lose motivation definitely through that because if you're not seeing progress, like through numbers, then yes, you will probably drop off at that point. But again, I think that's where the difference between motivation and discipline comes in, because there gets a point where I mean, like I said, I've been training 9 years at this point.
Yep.
I thought I would have my ideal body after like 3 years. I didn't. I thought I'd have my ideal body after another 3 years of training. I didn't. I thought I'd have it now. I don't. It's just brick by brick. You just build on it day by day, and that's all you can really do. As long as you're. I think sometimes I think having a goal can be a bit crushing, right? Because you kind of hold it as an ideal, and an ideal is a judge, right? It's something you're kind of really trying to trying to work towards and impress, basically. But you can. I think it's important not to make the goal so extreme that you're just crushed by it and defeated, and you don't even start, right? When at the start of quarantine, for example, I set myself a goal of, I'm gonna run like every day, and I know in the past when I've tried to do that, I always end up injuring myself, and then I don't run at all.
Yep.
Or if I say to myself, I'm just going to do sprints today because sprints are better for me.
Yep.
Sprints may burn more calories, of course, in a short amount of time, of course, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to leave the house to go do them because I don't find them fun, right? I think it's very important that you have a modality of training that you actually enjoy doing.
Definitely, yeah.
Which is pretty much, again, this is why that's why I started the bodyweight stuff, to be honest, because it was like, or another reason why, there's so many reasons why, and then there's no reason at the same time, I just felt like doing it.
Yeah.
But,
I see.
but,
I see.
yeah, it's like I was like, I've got all this muscle and it's all cool and all, but what can I actually do with it? And
Yeah.
where's it going from here? The only way I could, I could eat more and go through bulking and cutting cycles, which don't really work, to be honest. You're better off just maintaining a slight increase or a slight decrease from your total daily energy expenditure if you want to lose weight or build weight, right? You don't need to go through these bulking and cutting cycles, because you see it all the time. People put weight on in a bulking cycle. They lose the weight thinking they're going to be like so much bigger than they were before, and they just go back to a normal size, and they've only gained like 2 or 3 pounds of muscle, and then the rest was all fat, and it's just like you're just kind of cheating yourself, really.
Yeah.
I think a slow, steady approach is ideal, something you can actually be consistent with.
Yeah,
And,
I completely agree. Completely agree with you. This goes also into life, I think. This slow, steady approach, and being consistent. Do you think this is like not only applicable? I'm sorry, I kind of like answered by myself. Do you think it's also applicable outside of like working out, working your muscles out? Is that concept also valid? Yeah.
oh, definitely. I think it applies to everything. It's like I think there's certain overarching principles with anything in life. If you want to improve at anything, it could be like you say about a wish or a wish and a goal. If you're wishing for a Lamborghini, but you're just looking at photos all the time on your wall or whatever, but you're just like, oh yeah, one day. It's like, well, how? How you can do it? Think about a business plan. Think about something you can actually implement to generate that income for you. I don't know. I think the idea of like The Secret, where it's like visualization. I think it's important. I think it's helpful up to a point, because I think it really depends on what your intention is with it as well. If it's just for a physical gain, like a material gain, I think it's a bunch of crap. Like, I would rather that you say to yourself, I'm going to try and improve myself, or get these aspects of my life up to the point where that is a possibility for me. Those kind of things are sustainable in my lifetime, or with my lifestyle. Like, what's the point of somebody like a parent gives you like a Rolex or something, and then you start wearing the Rolex around? It's like, you did not do the work required to wear that.
Yeah.
So if that goes missing, then what? What are you gonna do then? Now you've got no Rolex. So try and work on getting yourself to the position where you can get your own Rolex. I think the material stuff is a byproduct of improving yourself as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Um, good. I have one question coming up to what you said already. What would happen? Completely theoretical. What would happen if you get to your ideal body?
I'll still want to improve it. Of course, it'll never be
Yeah.
It'll never be right, you know. It will never be
Exactly.
where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's fine, you know. It's all a massive journey, but that's what I say a lot of time. As long as I know that I'm making conscious steps towards where I want to be, I have no problem sleeping at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because there's been many periods of my life where I have done that. I've lay awake at night just thinking like I've wasted the whole day. The whole day is completely gone. But since I don't know, I don't know really know what happened to me, to be honest. I had so this when I think it was all based around the quarantine, to be fair. So when I started the quarantine, I was out of work. I lost a job. Actually, luckily, I was furloughed from that job, which means I was receiving like a portion of my wage. But I wasn't told that until about a month and a half in, because I thought I was going to be like living on nothing, and I'd come to terms with that, and I was perfectly happy with it. But then they told me, "Oh yeah, you've got money coming in." So when that happened, I kind of got out of my head a bit, because the first month I was very I kind of go very inwards when I feel like everything's kind of crumbling around me, and I've just spent a whole month playing games basically.
Mhm.
But for me personally, I felt like it was a really a valuable experience, because it kind of I felt like I'd never really had time to catch up on all the games and stuff, on all the films and everything that I wanted to kind of watch when I was working. So I felt like I literally just got it out of my system. I just spent like well over 1,000 hours playing games, um, and then I realized, okay, you might be going back to work at some point soon, so you really can't make this count for nothing, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like historically, you know, how when is this going to happen again? When are you going to have a chance that you're going to be paid for your time to sit at home? So make something with it.
Mhm.
Which is when I started working on the book, right?
No,
And then
great.
from there, I just had some. I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll just make the book, and then I'll start, you know, doing stuff on Instagram, whatever. But Instagram is so oversaturated. YouTube's so oversaturated. All the ads are just kind of, you know, they're kind of. I guess they're good for like raising kind of awareness of yourself,
Mhm.
which is what I was doing anyway. I was just like
Yeah.
kind of putting the feelers out, seeing how like advertising and stuff
Okay,
works.
great. Yeah,
Um,
there's so much to learn in the social area, right?
mm,
And
definitely.
I like to come one more time back to your ideal body. I just want to mention I find it so beautiful that you kind of realize, right? It's a never-ending journey towards there,
Mm.
and that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful
It is. Yeah.
because
It is.
yeah, there's so much energy in that. So you know you will never finish, but you still are going step by step towards it and getting
Yeah.
closer and closer. It's so
Mm.
amazing. I deeply honor that thought. Um, good.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sweating
not
too.
nervous though.
Yeah, that's all
It's
right.
just hot in here.
That's all right. You know, nervousness brings a lot of energy with it, but
Oh, of
probably you
course,
know
yeah.
it. Yeah. So, how do we now set a realistic goal for us? So we're having a blank paper in front of us, and we want to think,
Mm.
"Oh, I need to get started. I really want to do this. I have this kind of vision in my head of me getting this Lamborghini. What's my first step? What's my first goal that I need to set realistically?"
Well, I think the first thing would be like you've just done, which is identifying your goal in general, right? You've got to be specific about what you actually want. So, I mean, this like smart goals are pretty much perfectly applicable for, you know, for beginning your process there. So again, first of all, yeah, you got to make sure it's specific. You got to make sure you actually know what it is that you want to achieve. Because how are you going to do that otherwise? You're just working on, you know, working in the dark, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then again, as I was talking about earlier with the measurable aspect of it, with bodyweight stuff specifically to my discipline, it is a little bit harder. But you do have all the checks of the progressions through the movements, right? So you got like a tuck, an advanced tuck, a straddle position, and then the full version of it. For example, you know, you've got all those that you can work from. You got those milestones to
Mhm.
go through, or of course you have you know, weight lifted, how much weight lifted, sets, reps, you know, rest time even. They're all variables that you know, you can measure effectively. So as long as you're progressing in those, then yes, you know you're on the right track. Um, something that again, like I talked about earlier, something being some goals can be too big and they just end up crushing you and you don't even start on them, right?
Nein. Ist gut, André. Ich bin jetzt am Machen. Danke.
It's cool.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries, man. No worries, no worries. It's all right. Yeah, so you got to make sure it's achievable, right? You can't say to yourself, oh, I'm gonna do a like I can't say to myself, I'm gonna do a full planche by like next week, because it's not gonna happen, and I'm not gonna even start it because I know it's impossible. So make sure it's actually a realistic thing you can actually achieve there.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's got to be the steps you're taking have to be relevant to that. Of course, they have to be. Otherwise, you're deluding yourself, and you're never going to reach the goal you actually set because you're not working towards it. But I think something good to bring in there is again, why I like bodyweight exercise so much is because a lot of them are compound movements, right? So you have a lot of bang for your buck exercises, I'd call them. So a relevant exercise is something that you know trains what you want to train. And a lot of bodyweight stuff, if like I said about earlier with the core, if you want abs, pretty much every single lever exercise you do, or all lever exercises you do, so like the L sit, back lever, front lever, they all require massive core strength. So if you're doing those exercises, you're also working your back, your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders, everything. They're all
Yeah.
being worked. Everything is working in unison. So that's what I would class as a bang for your buck exercise, right?
Yeah.
Again, the compound movements is why I'd still do squats, why I still do deadlifts, why I still do overhead press as well with a barbell. I use those movements if I can because they work effectively.
Yeah.
Sure, I could say, oh, I'm just going to do legs with jumping squats and stuff like plyometrics, which is all well and good. But if I have the equipment there that has a massive potential for overload, like putting more plates on the bar, and again something that's measurable, because something for me at the moment is I'm trying to get my squats up, I'm trying to get my heavy
Great.
lift up, and I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
track that easy with plates, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to track. So yeah, compound movements, full body movements, all great. If you need to do isolation stuff, then sure, but they're mainly just accessory things for the most part.
Okay. Yeah.
And then last part of a SMART goal being time based. You have to set a time for it, otherwise you're not going to do it, are you?
A deadline.
I'll just put it off. I'll just put it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to make sure you're really. It's got to be reasonable in time that you actually push yourself towards it. It can't
Yeah.
be so far away that it's like not even worth trying. Or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I see. I see. Let's translate it a little bit. Let's do this together into going away from like working out and coming into maybe a job or something. Let's say, I don't know, you want to work as in the stock market or something, and now let's think about bang for your buck exercise. Would that be maybe reading books about the stock market? Would that be like having discussions with experts? What
See,
do you think?
it's a weird one with the stock market as a specific example because there's so much like luck and chance involved in that, right?
Yeah.
That I think there's definitely. I mean, the book you were looking, I saw you post a selection of books with the like the learning how to learn one, right? The
Yeah.
art of learning.
Yeah.
I feel like that and many kind of many ideas like that, like learning how to learn is the most important thing you can do because a lot of the principles you learn from that will apply to every single thing you can do. Like
Yeah.
it's again, bang for your back exercise is learning the metaphysics of something, right? The overarching themes of it, how the universe effectively works, because it's the
Great.
same for pretty much everything.
That's
So once you
amazing.
learn that, yeah,
Yeah.
everything kind
Great.
of comes together
Comes
nicely.
together. Right. Yeah. So amazing. Um, let's go a little bit further. I still want to come a little bit. Shall we go one more time back to that? Yeah, let's go one more time back to that. How important is it to really finish a goal? Like imagine you have invested a lot into it, and other than, let's say it's outside of like body training and it's outside of like working out because it's completely in a new field. Let's go back to the stock market, and you're kind of like, you're investing right now, you're planning your first money this first time, and you kind of like decide, okay, I'm not doing it anymore. Is that bad?
No,
Or
I wouldn't say so.
okay.
I wouldn't say it's bad. I mean, if you feel like you've wasted your time, then sure, it's bad. But if you've learnt a lesson from it, then I
Okay.
wouldn't say that's a
That's
negative at all.
great. Yeah, that's great. There needs to be a lesson. So
Mm.
somebody needs to be able to see the lesson that he has learned, and he kind of needs to go inside of himself and check out that lesson, right?
Yep.
You need to be able to connect to that lesson, right? If you can't do that, then it's going to be really affecting you in a bad way. And I think exactly that's what you also said, like in the beginning, with like how you didn't reach your goal completely, but you saw like the steps towards it,
Mhm.
and you're not giving up, right? You're still working on it towards it. Um, the thing is that right now, imagine you work towards a goal that is not healthy for you. Maybe you change your nutrition up or something like that, and it doesn't affect you in a good way, and you feel less energetic, you feel bad. Would you just give up on the goal, or would you continue on and finish that goal, finish and reach that goal? And how matter it doesn't matter how much time it takes, how it doesn't matter how many days you feel bad, you would just keep on going until you reach the goal? Or would you say like at one point, like, oh no, doesn't it really feels bad, my body doesn't want it to do it anymore, I don't want to do it anymore? Or how do you see that? It's a little.
Yeah, well, I've actually gone through this exact scenario in the last like 2 weeks. Um, I was when I started doing the streaming, I was quite lean. I was probably around like uh maybe 11 or 12% body fat if I had to guess. Like everything was very visible. I was very lean, and then as as I started doing more, it started getting cold, and I was like, oh, I need to put a bit of weight on now because I'm going to be in the shed more, so that's where I have all my weights. So I'm going to start putting on a bit more mass so I can have more absolute strength, which means I can move more weight, right? But so bulking essentially, but for a purpose. And then I got about 2 weeks into it, and I felt awful. I like mentally, especially. I was like, I feel like I'm kind of losing my uh I don't know. I felt my abs kind of going on me, and I was like, this don't feel right. This don't feel right. But the good thing is, I also realized that I can also adjust my form, right? I can polish my form up, which will help me move more weight.
Yeah.
So, which I have been doing, and it's working. I'm now eating the same I was, or I'm reeling in basically. My snacking got way out of hand, but I was still training. I was still doing my normal thing.
Mhm.
Just had a little bit more weight on me, and my
Oh,
my diet wasn't as clean as it was. Um, but yeah, I then I then just kind of got rid of that goal. I was like, I don't need to put weight on anymore.
mhm.
I just need to polish up the form and work harder, keep at it. I've not been doing the weightlifting stuff for too long anyway, so my body just needs to adapt anyway. So I don't need to go to that like nuclear level of just packing on mass to try and move more mass. There's a lot of other things you can look at to improve those lifts.
Okay,
But
great.
yeah, now I reeled it in, and I'm getting stronger. I'm losing weight again, and yes, just overall feeling good. But because I changed that because I was feeling bad about myself, and especially if I'm on stream, I like to feel confident. Of course, I like to feel that I look good. Otherwise, I just don't talk as much. I like to. If I feel good, I feel like I look good. I'm just gonna keep rattling on. Otherwise, I'll just be like, oh, no one wants to watch me. I feel bad. I look fat. So I kind of have to. I wasn't looking fat. I know that people are like, you still look good. Don't worry about it. But I
Mhm.
noticed that in myself. And I was
Yeah,
feeling heavier. I was
yeah,
feeling a bit more sluggish.
yeah.
But so yeah, I just abandoned it. I was like, it's fine.
Okay, okay, great. um let's come. We're already coming to the second section of the podcast right now. So, dear friends in the chat, you're very welcome to ask Connor right now questions about setting realistic goals or goal setting. And we already talked a little bit about like deadlines, setting deadlines. And what about distractions? What about distractions? How do you handle your distractions? Like they're coming in and blocking kind of like the access to your goal. How do you handle that?
Well, I probably not the best advice for people, but if I have an urge for something, I tend to just let it happen because I know that in the long run, I'm only repressing something that is going to come back to bite me in the ass later on, right? So I've definitely managed to reel that in a bit more in the previous years. But when I started training, like cheat days, for example, I'd just be like, okay, I want a cheat day, and I've got these cravings building and building and building in my head all week. So I got to the point where I was literally just, because my diet was lacking at that point. It wasn't very tasty. It was just the standard like chicken, broccoli, and rice. You know, the usual stuff that people tell you to eat when you're trying to put on muscle. And it would just cause me so many cravings that I'd have to just literally make myself feel sick from eating like junk food to get it out of my system for the week. And that would be like a regular process that I just like keep going through, which again is not good. I would not advise you do it. You definitely need to look at your diet as a whole if you're having cravings that are causing you to do that. But in terms of like playing games, for example, if a game is like on my brain like constantly, I don't fight it because it's a very rare occasion that I really get into something like that. Last one was Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, right? I kind of I was like, before I played that game, the week before that, I was like, stream stuff, stream assets, Photoshop, video editing, all that stuff. I got that game, and I was like, just playing it for like a week straight. Just as soon whenever I had free time, I'm still doing the streams, of course.
Yeah.
But whenever I had free time, I was just like, nope, play this, play this, play this. But
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I am so happy that I did that because it was an experience that I really enjoyed, and I feel like I would have been uh, again cheating myself out of that experience because it's not just about your physical health, right? You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally too. And if my mental
Definitely.
game isn't in check, then that's my whole basis for my whole life, right? If that's gone, then what am I going to do? I'm gonna fall down the hole. I'm gonna fall into the crumbled foundations. So I need to make sure that even if it may seem a bit, a bit negative or a distraction, I still make time for them if my brain tells me I want to do it.
That's great. I love how you're doing that, and love how you respect like your mental health as well. It's
Mhm.
such it's very very valuable and kind of like adult perspective on it. Of course, like if you're getting more like things to do and you need to have even more things to do around, you probably can't do that anymore to that extent. But right now it's the right thing for you and you see that, right? And you say that, and that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. So you have it under control. That's amazing.
Yeah, which is why I didn't feel bad about leaving it so long before I started streaming because I could have beat myself up and said, "Oh, I could have been streaming right from the start of quarantine, or I could have been streaming like 2 years ago when I was, still really into training." But the truth is, I wasn't in the state of mind to do it at that point, so it would have been pointless. There would have
Yeah.
been no point in me doing it because I wouldn't have been present for it. I wouldn't have been the person I am now. I wouldn't have been, speaking as much as I am. It wouldn't have been worth it. Start of quarantine, I would have been useless at this. I had to kind of get myself, like I said, I gorged myself on games until I literally was like, I'm bored of this now.
Yeah.
I had to I had to get out of my system, and sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Great, 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 great. That's amazing. Um, let's go a little bit in another question right now. What kind of tools do you use, like, to plan your goals out?
I have my notepad on my phone. Really, that's that's kind of it. If I have like something that pops into my head, I'm like, oh, I want to achieve that. I'll just write kind of a really overarching or broad idea down, and then whenever I've got free time again, because I normally have these thoughts like late at night. If I have a set a goal for myself, it's like me laying in bed, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to write this down, otherwise I'm going to forget that I want to achieve this basically. And then when I'm throughout the week, I just kind of go back to it and have a good look at it and see if I was just really tired or something, and is it actually realistic? And then if it is, then yes, I will start to make steps towards it. But even with the stream, for example, I had a direction in my head when I started doing it, how I wanted to get it,
Yeah.
and I've had to make some real compromises
Yeah.
things because at first it was looking like my only option was going to be, because the problem is I have my computer here, but I stream out in my garden, which is downstairs
Yeah.
out the window. I need
Yeah.
like 20-meter long cables to be able to do it basically.
Yeah.
And my plan first of all was I'm going to buy a laptop. but I don't
Yeah.
have money to spend £1,000 on like a, like a quad core 16 gig RAM like laptop.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to find other things to do here. So yeah, then I kind of went down the path of day by day. Like I maybe have like I have time when I'm at work to research things and do that, but I can't put anything into action until I get home effectively.
Mhm.
So I'd have all day to think about things at work. I'd just be writing down notes, researching stuff, seeing what I could do, trying to find alternatives. And then as soon as I get home, I had like half an hour before the stream started before I could actually, that I had to actually implement them. So
Mhm.
I'd plan the stuff at work, come home, I got half hour to try and put the stuff in place. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I end up being late for the stream because I'm messing around with something that then has
Yeah.
a knock-on effect on something else. And yes, things just keep going wrong. But day by day, again, day by day, week by week, when I had the resources to buy things that would help or had time to research things that would solve my issues, I'd sort it out. And just like half hour a day for a good like 3 weeks, and I am where I am now. So
Great. Great.
which is more in the direction of what I wanted. There's still
Yeah.
a lot of things I want to do to it.
Definitely. There's
Uh,
always something else to do,
Yeah.
We went over that already. Let's go into a question from the chat from Queen Sugar Buns right now.
Hello, Queen.
Um, let's let's start from the end there. What do you do when you all of a sudden start going in the opposite direction of your goals? Whether because of something like COVID or depression over a situation you're going through in real life.
You start going the opposite direction. It's I mean, I've always had a good ability to. I've never really been like worried about my own thoughts or scared of my own thoughts or running myself into a bad situation because I know or putting my brain into concept of a bad situation. I've always heavily drawn from like stoicism. So memento mori, for example, like remember death, right? As morbid
Yeah.
as that sounds, I find it a very liberating way to think about things because it's like things could be gone like tomorrow. You could be gone tomorrow. So I don't put too much pressure on myself or anything really. I just kind of take each day as it comes. I try and do the best I can because I have funks too. There's some days where I just really don't feel like doing what I'm doing, but
Mhm.
once I take the time to think about it, writing things down is probably the main way I get myself out of funks like that. Is
Great.
I'll just like word vomit onto a document on my phone and
Yeah.
just like really try and iron like just go through it and see like where am I catching myself out here, what things are catching me out,
Mm.
what am I getting hung up on.
What
I
what
mean, it's a hard process. It's a very hard process to be introspective to that level, but I feel like there is no real better exercise you can really do because it will really kind of set your goals into perspective because you'll have to think about why you want to achieve them, right? You'll
great, yeah.
really have to sit there and go, you got to face yourself with it and be like, yes, okay.
What do you think about daily journals?
I don't keep a daily journal because I don't have let's say I'm too kind of wispy with this stuff. Like I'll kind of go through like phases where I'm like, okay, I'll write things down for a week, but I don't like setting that framework for myself because it feels like a commitment. So I tend to just like if I feel like doing something, I just I'll write it down. But it's only when I kind of reach like critical mass in my head where I feel like I have no other option right now than to try and like get this out onto some paper and like
Yeah.
rationalize it and try and
Yeah.
make sense of it.
I do exactly the same, and I try to do daily journals, but I do exactly the same as you're doing it.
Hmm.
It's amazing. Let's go into another question from Nico. So, how do I prioritize my goals? Or, in other words, how do I know these are really long term goals I want to follow, not just some random new idea I think that is like awesome in the moment?
I don't think there's any harm in just. I think you're thinking too far in the future there. I mean, sure, goals are definitely they should. You have long term, short term, everything else. But I feel like I was talking about earlier, if you have an urge, I would say just go with it. The worst thing you're going to do is waste like a week of your time. And you're not even going to waste it because you've explored another idea, right? You've explored a new idea, a new avenue, and that's it. The journey is everything, right? It doesn't matter the long term goal is cool and all, but I feel like the lessons you learn in trying to achieve that are, I mean, you might even iron out the issues yourself in just starting the journey with it. You know, you'll be like, how am I going to make this more efficient? How am I going to solve this problem, this problem, this problem? Because there's always going to be problems, right? There's always going to be something you can do to change it up.
Yeah.
But I think the best way well, to prioritize it, first of all, you got to make sure it's something you actually want to do, right? But I think a lot of the times you won't know that until you start it.
Yep.
So I would say the best thing you could do there is just give it a go.
Yep.
Just give it a go. Unless it's going to involve you spending like thousands and thousands of pounds of your money as an initial investment, because that's the only time it's going to be a bad idea, right? Is when you're going to have some kind of, tangible loss from it, because time is just time, right?
Yep.
Time is for you to explore anyway. So just, give it a go. Unless you're losing financial capital from it, it's not really a loss.
Great.
So,
Great. Yeah.
unless,
Thanks.
as long as you're not hurting anybody else as well, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit further. I come to a topic that I really like to talk about together with you before finishing up, right? Rewards. So think about your finishing up a goal. Say let's say you finish up a big goal in like your streaming career, kind of like you get to a point where you're quite happy with yourself at one point. How do you reward yourself?
How do I reward myself? I don't. I would say, well, I mean, I've never really been one to care about like material stuff really. I wouldn't say like, oh, I'll buy myself this or that or whatever. I'd pretty try and buy myself an experience of some kind, but
Yeah.
a new car would be cool. Anything that I need like to function as a human being in a modern society, if I can anything I can improve with that, then cool, I would do that. But I feel like just having, well, I was a very reclusive person prior to me streaming, and just having this community like available to me here and or being available for them as well, it goes every way. It goes every which way. But that has been the biggest reward I could have asked for, honestly. Like having people that are always there to chat to. They always come through, always showing support. It's because I've not really had too much of that in my life. So this is, even making a post on Instagram and being like, oh, I've done really well with this, and then anybody sending me a message going like, oh, that's awesome, man, I'm proud of you. That means a lot to me. Like my next door neighbor yesterday, he was like, I was talking to him for a while because I've not spoken to him for a little while, and he was like, oh, I'm proud that you're actually doing this now, that you've actually started doing something.
Yeah.
Because I would have just, I don't know what happened. I mean, I've had all the stuff to do this for years.
Yeah.
But I just never had the state of mind to do it. I was like, oh, one day, I'd build up this massive thing. And then eventually what made me do it was not thinking about it at all. I was like, I got my phone. I basically bought myself like I've got the iPhone 11 with like a unlimited data plan on it, which I thought was going to be awesome because I could do 4G streaming and it would be like at least 720p, right? It wasn't. It was awful quality.
Yeah.
But because the coverage here is awful. But
yeah.
just the fact of me going, I've got a tripod already. I've got the phone, which is just wireless, good to go. Streamlabs on, stream, go. That was it. That's all I did. And then from there I started. Then since then, it's just been, a thoughtless process. Just do my workout as normal, but stream it.
Great.
See what happens from there.
Great. That's amazing. Connor, thank you so much for being here today. We have one last question coming up your way right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your goals with your online presence right now? So looking a little bit towards the future. Your vision?
I kind of okay. So I said this about 2 weeks ago. I said I would love to have 1,000 followers by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But that was me coming off of a 10-day period where I got like 100 followers in that 10-day period, and I was thinking, oh, this will keep up. They didn't, because then I had like 3 days where I had no followers at all. So it's just, I've still got that goal in mind, but again, like I say, I'm not attached to the goal itself.
Yeah.
As long as I'm trying to progress things like that, I think that's possibly why I've gained the followers that I have, is because I'm actively trying to improve the stream on like a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm never happy with it. I'm always trying to, implement new
Yeah.
things and spice it up a bit. But
That's great.
even though some people don't want the spice, they want it, they want it plain. So,
Good. So, dear friends, you have heard it. He wants 1,000 followers by the end of the year. Please go and assist dear Primitive Rage in this endeavor. He's amazing. He will help you out. He's a personal trainer. If you need his assistance, definitely check him out. Write him through Instagram, or check him out on Twitch, or check him out on YouTube. You will find his contact data wherever, right?
Also, 750 followers. I'm doing a Solid Snake cosplay workout. So
That's amazing. We need to see
we go.
this, and we need to see this soon. So, dear friends, check him out. Give him a follow.
Thank you.
So again, let's conclude this a little bit up right now. We have spoken about goals. We have spoken that we can step back from goals and kind of like thinking about things that we have learned in the process. We have spoken about divide and conquer. We have spoken about a lot of different other things that are so great. This podcast was really, really rich, and my deepest appreciation to you. Thank you for your honesty in your answers. You can really feel that out if somebody is honest or not. And I think you delivered today. Thank you so much, Connor.
Thank you, Marcel. Thank you. Yeah, I try. That's the thing. People are like, "Oh, I'm not giving too much information away because it will come back and hurt me or something." I'm just being myself. There's nothing that can hurt me because I know it already. So nobody can use anything against me. I can be as open as I want, and whatever happens because I've divulged information. So
Great.
What's the matter?
So
yes, always try and be open.
Dear friends in the chat, we're right now heading over to this Discord. We are going in quickly into the Discord. If you like to chat with us for a little time, come into the Discord. Let me check. Where's the Discord shout out? I just quickly press this. There should be all the information about me, and also the Discord should be coming up very, very soon. So join in there, come into our chat, and talk with us. That's what we're doing right after this podcast. This was Health Skill Podcast. It's now coming again weekly towards you. So I'm really excited.
Very nice.
Yeah. And learn more about femininity next week, together with a wonderful yoga friend, Jody Bien. She's from Canada. And we're going to talk all about femininity, as we have been talking about masculinity already. And tune in live next week at www.moment.yoga/Twitch. We're available on all major podcast platforms and as well on YouTube. This was Health Skill Podcast Live. We are leveling up your health skill.